caught the cops on fire. If they survive the stove, I'll be serving the corn with Manuel's incredible multicolored spuds. Apparently right now, oh, those hearts here. They're a lot more relaxed than my heart right now. Okay, Rio. Heart's done. Yeah. They're happy with the pink, right? Yeah. Yeah. Just make sure that we have a quality in the side. Brilliant. Beautiful. And now it's time to plate up. Hey, let me know when you're ready, yeah? I'll be 1 minute. What do you think Manuel is gonna say about your potatoes? I'm hoping next time he cooks them my way, he's gonna get married. How are you? Give me 30 seconds. Finally, my feast is finished. I've added my mango paste to the loins, plus Manuel's spuds, and I'm hoping the heart are cooked to perfection. This looks beautiful. Really beautiful. But the competition is fierce. Quinoa and tongue salad, alpaca brain omelette, and a neck stew. Okay, good? Yeah, let's go.
Don't want to put a shirt on.
I am going to put a shirt on. A cheap shirt. I don't know, Raquel. It might be marketing, so you might get banned. You better be careful. It's not a Disney brand, you know.
Tough gig. Stove I've never cooked on before. Pile of bricks with a furnace inside. I just want to pay respect to what I've learned. Now you've got the best ingredients. Look, from this valley. So
beautiful.
It's sacred
Oh
for
my
a
gosh,
reason.
amazing. I miss
These
the
farmers are the
mountains.
hardest customers only on the planet. Why? Salt of the earth. There's nothing to do now except
We like the light. We like our lamp. What's up? Let's see. So we got just chatted. We're just chatting right now. We're just chatting about some things. All right. I am Brohammington.
Lykoss here.
Lykoss.
14.
14. Not 15. Oh, that's perfect. Is that perfect?
Yeah.
Oh, where'd I go? Just kidding. Let's move over this way a little bit. Kind of want to be comfy. Is that good? Is that good for you? You want me to scoot over this way?
If you keep moving, then I have to.
Forgive us for trying to get comfortable. Forgive us. Brohammington here. Joined with other Sunflower Illumineer player, none other than my wife,
Lykoss14.
Lykoss14. So Fort Worth has happened about what, 2 weeks ago? About 2 weeks ago, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, Fort Worth has happened. It was a pretty good experience. That was my first DLC.
It's not your first DLC.
Well, I mean, like, on the competitive stage. It was my first DLC, which was a lot of fun.
Yes.
A lot more fun than what I anticipated, honestly. Coming from a Magic the Gathering background is where I was. Things are a lot more sweaty than the Lorcana challenge was. And I've heard that across the board of a few other players that have recently swapped from other trading card games. It being a little bit more, not necessarily relaxed because it's still like stressful, but not at the point of like if you touch something and then take your hand off of it, it's an instant judge call, you know? Like, cause
well, I think the Lorcana community is just more. It's competitive, but we're not cutthroat. Like, at least that's how I feel.
Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily cutthroat. I would use the term toxic.
Cutthroat is pretty toxic.
Right. So I mean, like,
you tomato.
Potato.
But I'm not saying that Magic players are like that. Not all of them are like that.
Not all of them, right?
But you know, hopefully we do not get those toxic players because I think it's a more fun experience. Like,
yeah.
I like the DLCs. I was in Chicago. I went to Fort Worth, and I was in the competitive side of both of them. Sure. And I think that for myself, having played in some Magic tournaments before, I feel way more comfortable in this scenario versus the Magic scene. There's a lot more females. There's a lot more family members. There's just more people that are there to compete, and maybe they're not ultra competitive, but they're still competitive in their own nature. And
right.
I think that there's a space for that. And
sure.
You know, I think it's fun. Like, that's the best part, is that I enjoy it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, even doing 10 hours of Lorcana, I had a lot of fun, and I myself did better than I did in Chicago. I got 37 points instead of just 30 points, even though I didn't really need to. You know, obviously my next goal is to make top 128.
Sure, absolutely.
So that's, you know, baby steps, but I'm not gonna
7 points.
I'm not gonna make it impossible for myself. I'm gonna have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
I completely agree with that. You know, it's like, so my round one, I went my round one. I'm not even gonna front. My round one didn't show up, so a 2-0, a dub's a dub, right? we take those. We take those. My round two was actually really interesting, right? So I played against none other than DK Fam himself, or Ding Kong. Sorry if I butcher your name. Shout out you, by the way. Ding Kong Fam, who flew in from Germany and also made top 16. That was my round two opponent playing Ruby Sapphire.
Okay. All right.
And just recently swapped to just recently swapped from competitive, like highly competitive Yu-Gi-Oh to Lorcana. Probably one of the most fun matches I had all day. Like, it was super back and forth, very swingy. I snuck game one, so this is funny because I snuck game one because he's really, really new, so he didn't know about the Jafar wheel combo. So I snuck game one. Game two, he was more familiar with real familiar with it because I introduced him to it.
That
right?
makes sense.
So Jafar didn't stick
Once
around.
you get wheeled.
Yeah, once you get Jafar wheeled once.
Jafar wheeled, you're like, oh,
You're like,
not
oh.
gonna let that happen.
Oh, that's what this guy's doing. So I snuck game one. Game two was really back and forth. But he ended up taking it. But that was probably my most memorable match for the day, because like it was a fight, like the whole game, just like both games, just back and forth. Game one, I snuck the win because he wasn't familiar with the Jafar wheel.
Yeah, makes sense.
So like sometimes the element of surprise is enough to push you over the edge. But overall through the day, I ended up at 30 points, so I was able to secure that that Cinderella promo. You know, we had the homie here in town that wanted the Cinderella promo, and we were able to deliver. So I mean, that was pretty cool.
Yep.
But yeah, the experience was really good. I think that I enjoyed meeting new people and meeting other content creators more than the actual gameplay.
Yes, meeting the other content creators and even other people in the community was amazing,
absolutely,
for sure.
It was great.
I agree. So obviously, top 64 was a combination of Bucky was still around. It's still around.
It's still around until this after this weekend. It goes away.
So
R.I.P. the homie.
I don't know if that was necessary, but obviously we know who the winner was. Ruby Amethyst.
Yeah, Ruby Amethyst. Ed
with Ruby Amethyst.
Oh yeah,
I think the top four obviously was a good combination of different things. I think it was cool that we got a double Amber Steel semi-finals matchup, which I thought was just
it was pretty cool.
The bomb. I don't like. Yeah. I'm bringing that word back.
I don't think
because I think I have to see two Steel Song players just battle it out was just pretty amazing. So, Chris, fantastic job. I just gotta give you props because I thought that was the best match of the day. Overall, even better than the finals. I mean, the finals was good, but I think that had the Steel Song play, had Chris gotten what he needed, I think that match would have gone a different way. But obviously that didn't happen. So I think the Amber Steel matchup was probably the best one of the day. Oh, in my opinion,
for sure.
Obviously,
for sure. I always enjoy a good mirror match once in a while. It's not bad. The interesting thing here to note in the final round, right? So in the final round, we had Ed and Chris, right? So it was Ruby Amethyst and Amber Steel Song. Now the interesting thing here to note is that the two finalists actually played against each other in Swiss, and Ed got 2-0'd.
Oh, nice.
So that is actually the interesting thing here to note, because I listened to Ed, and I can't remember if it was on which podcast it was on, but it was a podcast, and I listened to him talk about how Ed took him 2-0, or Ed lost 2-0 to Chris in the Swiss rounds, right? And he said in the back of his mind that he believed that this guy was going to win the whole thing, which is really ironic because they met in the finals and he was able to secure the win and claim his crown, for this DLC and Fort Worth. So there was a lot of spicy. I think there was a lot of like things that people didn't expect in the top. I don't think anybody really expected Amber Steel Song to be there because it's been on such decline. I think that's one of the things.
I agree. But I do think that with the Ruby Sapphire making its exit, because there's a down. So the beautiful thing about Lorcana is that obviously, as the meta changes, so do decks that can survive, that are viable. So the fact that we saw less Ruby Sapphire decks succeed gave room for Amber Steel to come back in.
Sure.
Which makes complete sense. I personally think the spicy decks were the Emerald Amber decks.
You want to talk about those for a second?
So, I mean, you just have to give props to the Emerald Amber decks, because I do think that was spicy, and I think that I know that you had talked about them, and you had actually done deck techs on them earlier in the season of Set 4. But as we had discussed, I think that you were missing something from them. And I think that Zach Bivens definitely showed us the things that you might have been missing in your deck techs. But you definitely had some good basic ideas of where it should have gone.
Right, sure. And I'll touch on that a little bit, because I've said this from the start of Lorcana, right, is that I crown myself as being a fairly decent theory crafter, right? I come up with an idea and it works relatively well, and then somebody else will tweak it and then it excels, right? I am not by no means like the best player in Lorcana. I like to come up with ideas, and I like to make different things. So, as I've said in like a previous streams, like there's a pie chart of the metas, right? There's pie charts of the metas, and it's like, X% plays this. I hang out in that little sliver of 0.1% that says other. You know, that's where I like to hang out at a little bit. You know, I like to theory craft. I like to come up with fun ideas. But if there's a time to get sweaty, then your boy's not afraid to get down by no means, you know. So that being said, the other one is Jordan Serio, who placed in top 8 and got a gold Mickey with Emerald Amber. And I think that there was only like very minor differences between him and Zach Bivens' list. We don't necessarily have to jump into that, but there was definitely something there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that kind of bleeds into obviously tomorrow or this weekend.
Oh yes,
Bologna.
Bologna.
You know, Italy's DLC. Obviously the Bucky is still there, so I do think that there will be a good amount of Bucky represented decks. You know, as we know from Twitter or X, Zach Bivens is going to be there, so I expect some sort of spice or some sort of, you know,
something nobody really expects,
or even Steel Song, because Steel Song is doing well.
In Chicago, he was number 1 seat with Steel Song, and nobody expected that. That was when it was dead.
Think this weekend, you know, we're going to see, obviously, some Buckies in the top 64. I think we'll definitely see some Ruby Amethyst. But I'm hoping we see some Blue Steel and some, you know, Amber Steel in the top to kind of give us something different to end this Bucky era. Maybe Bucky wins for the second time of the era. Maybe he doesn't. Who knows? I do think Bucky will be in the top 4, no matter what.
I think that there will be a strong representation of Bucky and Bologna. It's hard to say. It's honestly hard to say, because if it was anything like it was in Fort Worth, right? We had a lot of players in Fort Worth that were kind of surveilling the fields or whatever before they locked in their deck list, and That's how you've seen such a high rise of blue steel and amber steel, right?
Yeah, Blue
Because
Steel was
everybody everybody wants to play what is good against Bucky, but which way you go can impact the whole thing a lot, right? So if you hear a lot of talk around the room of like, oh, blue steel and amber steel, uh, or you yourself might be thinking blue steel or amber steel. Chances are you're probably not the only one. That was the mindset behind Sailor or Pierre-Marc Duguay, the French player from Team Labyrinth. That's why he played blue red, is because he heard a lot of talk of amber steel and the amber steel and blue steel, which is kind of like blue red's favored matchups if we have those still.
Yep, I think it'll be interesting.
So-
I'm excited to see some of those matchups. Obviously, we're in Central Standard Time, so I am not going to be getting up at 5 in the morning tomorrow, but I will definitely catch as much of the streams as I can to kind of see what's going on for sure. Moving on from there, we can obviously set champs just finished up this past weekend as well.
Big sad.
I was able to secure.
Yeah, not we, you, not we, ladies and gentlemen, not we. It's her. She's the player. I'm the crafter. She's the player. All right.
I played in 4 set champs. I was able to secure 3 Ursulas out of those 4.
And a mat.
Mat.
Don't sell yourself short now.
So I do feel like I successfully completed my goal for the set champs month. I don't like to overplay too many of them, just because I like to obviously enjoy my time, but I do not like to get burned out either.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on set champs changing from top 4 promos to top 8 promos?
Ooh, that's actually a really good question. So one of the big things with the previous set champs, because we've only had 2 at this point, right?
Yes, correct.
So the first set champs was really interesting because it was the first go for any store and any player, right? The data that I collected from the first set champs was, it was like a big feel bad moment if you made top 8 and then lost your first round and left empty handed. Experience, or not me experience. I never experienced that. Let's get real. So
go on.
So I never experienced that, but other players did, and I've judged a few of those events. So I I have heard the back end of it of, oh, this is horse hockey or whatever. I played 7 hours of Lorcana. I have nothing to show for it. So that being aside, moving into set 2, what me and the store owners have, collaborated to do was we charged a little bit extra on the entry fee, but we made the payout. We made a very specific payout for 5th through 8th place. So if you made top 8 and you lost your first round, you didn't leave empty-handed. So I mean, that was the big thing, right?
Yeah, and I do agree. I mean, I think that there is a responsibility. I think there should be a balance between what the stores do for their player base in that regard, because, I mean, yes, top 4 does get that pricing, and not all of the rounds go to top 8. So, that is difficult, but I do think that getting into top 8 and then losing that first round and not getting anything is kind of like a stab to the heart.
Yeah.
And so I think that this is good. I do believe this is the balance between super competitive and more of that casual, social, competitive players.
Right.
So I think it's a good balance.
Correct.
DLCs are the more competitive events, so I think I think it's a good place for this to land. I do believe that in the future, set champs will also have additional pricing for top 4, because I think they'll continue to balance that. So I mean, obviously the promos will be less valuable coming set 5 set champs, but I mean, I think that it's gonna be overall good for the game. So I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna be good. Jesus, there should be a stream for Bologna challenge through the Disney Twitch account. I'm pretty sure Speci and Villain are going to be casting that because they usually cast all of the European ones. So it will just start at like 5 in the morning because they're 7 hours ahead of us.
Right.
So typically the streams go up at 12:30, 12 or 12:30. So I mean that would be 5:30 in the morning our time, where it's 12:30 in the morning their time.
And we're here for it.
So check it out if you're wanting to get up that early. But hopefully someone records them and then they can stream them out onto YouTube. If Brohammington gets up early enough, then maybe he'll do a Twitch stream of that. But probably 9 o'clock is more like the time that he'll get up.
Yeah, I mean, we'll pop in. We'll see what's going on. We may or may not go live tomorrow. It really just depends. Like 5:30. If you're at 5:30, you might as well. Speci's a great commentator, guys, and so is Ross and Baker. I hold them in high regards. Great commentators. Very energetic and everything else. Very knowledgeable. And I believe that in between rounds they do pack rippings too.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, get your dose of dopamine, and whatever else. Get your coffee. It'll be a great time, regardless. But great commentators.
So speaking of pack ripping,
yeah,
2 things are happening next weekend.
2 of them. Count 'em.
One is Set 5.
Set 5 is releasing.
So how excited are you for Set 5?
I am ecstatic. I have been theory crafting or brewing or whatever you want to call it. I did it for a few hours today. You can check that on my last VOD. We did some new brews, improved on some old brews. I do actually have a Blurple list. Blurple has been my baby since set 2, so I'm really excited for it this set. All right. You can check that out on my Dreamborn. So my Dreamborn, Brohammington, my Blurple list is on there, and I am excited. Okay.
He'll probably also have a stream of it next Friday between 1:30 and 3.
That's also
Central
also
Time.
True.
So check it out. That will be before a lot of the tournaments happen for set release. So definitely check them out next Friday. But top cards. Do you have a top card that you're excited about for set 5?
My number 1.
Yeah, let's go.
I've been talking about it all day. You ready?
Let's go.
Daisy Duck. My number 1 pick, Daisy Duck. 1 drop, uninkable, 1/4. Quest for 2. When a quest, your opponent reveals a top card. If it's a character card, it goes to their hand. Anything else goes to the bottom. That is my number 1 pick.
Very good.
What about you?
I am excited. I'm a discard player. I'm also a Jafar player. But my main, one of my main decks that I'm going to be trying out first is going to be Prince John's Mirror. So I'm excited for that card and seeing what else I can build around that deck, since it is going to change without Bucky. So we're definitely going to see what happens next.
Do you want to talk about John's Mirror?
I just think it's good. I mean, I think that as long as people sleep on it, then maybe I can figure out how to make it really, really good. And hopefully I can surprise people by discarding their hand before they realize it's happening to them. So
I think that if people continue to sleep on them, you can get a playset of them before they go up in price.
I do hope that does happen.
I
hope that I open 4 foiled Prince John mirrors so that I don't have to buy them on TCG Player.
Yeah.
So that's my goal.
I think Prince. I do agree. I think Prince John's mirror is a fantastic card. The other one that I have my eye on is Naveen. I really like Naveen. I think he's super good. And we're gonna do some theory crafting with that one too.
For sure.
So more to come from that in the future.
For sure. So speaking of next weekend, like I said, 2 things are happening. Set 5 is releasing, as well as Canada, Toronto is having their DLC. With the Bucky errata. So, what do you think is going to happen there?
So,
just quick assessment.
I think that with the Bucky errata, it leaves a lot more room to explore the meta, which should have happened a long time ago. But the Bucky really put a damper on that. I think that Emerald Amber actually takes off more. And that in your traditional Bucky list kind of moves into the Emerald Amber discard list.
Okay.
Because it's a little faster, I think, and it's a lot more interesting. Because it plays some of the same cards, but you also are doing the Kita Under the Sea combo, which is a one-sided B prep essentially. So I think that is where the discard list moves to for Toronto.
Yep, that's a possibility.
Not for Bologna, but for Toronto. What do you think?
Personally, I think that this is a chance for a blue steel to come in and steal a win, or for hyper aggro to go ham. In fact, I know that a lot of people have been talking about Mufasa deck actually making an appearance and making a really good stance. I don't know if that's a possibility, but without Bucky, I mean, you're not going to see as many discard players, so you're going to see, I think, an up in Ruby Amethyst players. So I mean, Mufasa might be able to make a really good stance. I also think that's Steel Song also has a good time with that. Because it does have a good matchup, a favorable matchup against Ruby Amethyst, even if it might be a slight favorable matchup. So I think it's gonna be great. I'm more excited about Toronto than I am Italy, but I think Italy is going to be a good time. I also think it's a shout out to Zach Bivens trying to make a top 16 both in North America as well as the European arena. I don't know how many other players are doing that. I just know just because I saw that on Twitter, aka X, so I just wanted to give a shout out to him.
That's the same way DK Fom, Ding Kong Fom, my round 2 opponent. And
okay.
He
so
made
best of luck to those players on that goal, and we'll see on Sunday who does that for sure. So wrapping it up kind of more into the future of what we're going to be doing here the next month. We are going to try to just do these once a month where it's both of us on this stream. Most of the time, Brohammington's going to do his stream, whereas I do more of the content on YouTube with the how-to videos and all that kind of stuff, and then editing some of the tournaments that we post up on YouTube. But we're going to continue prioritizing content into set 5. I know that a lot of content creators are bowing out. It does take time to make content, so obviously that's there's no judgment on our part for any of the content creators that do step away. I think it's good to prioritize and make sure you know what it is you want and where you're going. At no point are we doing this is not for the money, because obviously if you do make money off of it, it's great, but if you don't, that's not the reason why we're doing this. We do this because we love the game and we want to show people how to play it, how to get better, improve your skills at that point. So
we just like to have a good time, really.
And we have
I mean, that's essentially it. Like, we like to have a good time. We like to show people things. We like to mess around. We like to joke around. We like to make fun decks, advertise them, and and then if we meet people in Vegas, we're going to Vegas. I don't know if we mentioned that, but we're definitely going to be in Vegas. So if we meet people that watch our stream in Vegas, it's also a really big plus. Yeah. So I mean, like, just growing within the community is pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely want this game to succeed. I think it's a great game. I know that our 7-year-old is learning how to play it, and I want him to have the opportunity of being a competitive player if that's what he wants to do. So,
and our 3-year-old even has his favorite set of cards too.
For sure, he does.
Look, it's Hey Hey.
Yes, he does love the Hey Hey.
Hashtag Hey Hey.
For sure. So like I said, we're gonna have a couple tournaments coming up on our not only YouTube but the Twitch channel here with Brohammington. Next Friday evening we're gonna have the starter deck tournament with our local league, and then Saturday afternoon we'll also have a sealed tournament as well. So you're able to catch that on the Twitch through Brohammington. Obviously we know that Toronto is going to be going on at the same time, but if you want to switch back and forth through it, you can catch us on there, or you can always catch it on the YouTube, because I will be posting it once I get the VOD.
You can definitely catch the highlights
for sure.
And then we have don't forget we have the win-a-box, set 5 win-a-box.
We do have a set 5 win-a-box
on the 17th,
the weekend after, so not this coming weekend, but the weekend after that. We have a win-a-box with set 5 in one of our local game stores, so definitely check that out.
Yeah, that's gonna be a blast.
Be great.
So that's gonna be the first tournament that we compete in where set 5 is illegal, and there have been no major tournaments beforehand.
For sure.
So it's gonna be.
It'll be interesting to see the spice that our local players who are competitive come up with. So we're excited for that.
I think half of our local community has been to the DLC that are planning to show up. So I mean,
for sure.
So I mean, like, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a good time. You guys should definitely tune in for that. So
yes, so definitely weekends is usually when we do our tournaments live on Brohammington's Twitch, and then I edit and put them on the YouTube Sunflower page, so check those out as well.
Those are all, if you look in the About Me, those should all be down at the bottom, so make sure you click on those. Shoot us a follower on Twitter, on YouTube, on X, whatever you want to call it. Make sure that you're just following us.
Yep. And you can always reach us out through email, through Discord.
We are involved.
We're everywhere.
Yeah, we're involved in multiple Discords.
For sure.
Mishi 20 Lore Pro, and those are the 2 top ones, but multiple other ones as well.
For sure. So beyond that, just if there's anything that you're wanting to see, just let us know. Like I said, the content is because we love the game and we want to make sure everyone enjoys it just as much as we do. So beyond that, I think that's all I got for now. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so. There is a question there. So green purple blowout in Toronto. That is a very big possibility. Green purple does prey on ruby amethyst. So if ruby amethyst is prevalent in Toronto, it is a very good time for green purple to do very well there. I would actually check Artabax's Twitter page and see if he has any spice towards that information. Artabax is a very good green purple player. it's taken down multiple events with it. But yeah, that's all that I got.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for stopping by. We appreciate it. As always, we appreciate any feedback. Have a great time. Lykoss14 out.